Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to my latest gaming news video. I'll be covering recent gaming news as well as some other game-related things in this video. Grateful for any feedback, so if you feel the need to do so, please leave a comment below. You can also like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. I'll now get into some gaming news. And yeah, I've got a fair bit to cover in today's video. First up, today we have a massive announcement coming out of Rockstar. I almost missed this somehow, but yeah, if I did, I would have likely covered it next week. But anyway, the next Grand Theft Auto game, GTA 6, as confirmed by Rockstar Sam Houser, is getting its first trailer next month. In a post on the Rockstar Games website, Houser confirmed recent reports that a trailer for the massively anticipated game may be dropping fairly soon. Yeah, I sort of did not expect this at all, really, this soon, I guess. It does fit, however, with the 25th anniversary of the studio. In a statement via the Rockstar Games website, Sam Houser said that, quote, "Next month marks the 25th anniversary of Rockstar Games. Thanks to the incredible support of our players worldwide, we have had the opportunity to create games we are truly passionate about. Without you, none of this would be possible, and we are so grateful to all of you for sharing this journey with us. In 1998, Rockstar Games was founded on the idea that video games could come to be as essential to culture as any other form of entertainment, and we hope that we have created games you love in our efforts to be part of that evolution. We are excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto. We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with all of you. Thank you, Sam Houser." And quote there. So, yeah, wow, some pretty wild news. Yeah, just didn't expect this until next year, maybe sometime. I'm yeah, definitely looking forward to this trailer and getting some yeah, proper footage of the game, hopefully. But yeah, I expect a huge amount of people are. I expect the that GTA YouTube is going wild right now. I've seen a bunch of them post videos. I don't really follow much on, even though I'm a fan of the games, I don't really follow much of the actual GTA YouTube stuff and things. But yeah, I really enjoyed GTA 5, so I'm glad that we'll be finally getting another GTA, even if it is over 10 years since the aforementioned GTA 5. The first game I covered on this channel when I was doing more podcast-like format was GTA San Andreas. But yeah, it has been confirmed, however, that GTA 6 will, I think it's pretty much confirmed at this point, it will take place in Vice City, which is a fictional representation of Miami, Florida. But yeah, I can't see how the game, can't wait to see rather how the game looks and ends up being. Definitely going to cover the trailer when that launches in early December. Don't believe a specific date was given, but maybe it'll be shown at the Game Awards on December 7th, possibly. And yeah, I'm hoping they show, as there was trailer footage, like gameplay footage, that would be cool. And potentially release date, I think that would be, yeah, that would be great. But as is the first trailer, I guess it's not 100% of that's going to happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, on to some World of Warcraft and Blizzard related news. I think most people know of Blizzard at this point. They make Diablo, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft, among other very popular games / franchises. But yeah, this piece of news is about World of Warcraft specifically. World of Warcraft released back towards the end of 2004 has been exclusive to PC. I think it's on Mac since then, following the popularity of other MMOs that have made the transition to consoles, like I believe Final Fantasy XIV. It looks as though Blizzard may be bringing World of Warcraft to consoles, likely Xbox only though. According to a recent interview, Blizzard has been considering this for a while actually, but they both never gave it the go-ahead. But yeah, this could possibly change soon. In a Games Radar interview with Holly Longdale, who is the Vice President and Executive Producer for World of Warcraft, Holly, when asked about a WoW console release, said that, quote, "Of course, yeah, we talk about it all the time." Seems like Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard may have further boosted the likelihood of the MMO coming to console. Ollie continued, quote, "It's a complicated question, and to your earlier point, for a console audience, the approachability is likely going to be different. Right now, we're focused on the World Soul Saga, but if that comes up, then we'll re-examine things, but man, we've got enough to deal with right now. We've got these 3 expansions, and we are excited about them. But yeah, of course, it would be very insincere to say that we're not. Like, of course, we're talking about that. We are Microsoft now." So it looking like we could see a console release of World of Warcraft at some point in the future. Maybe once Xbox game studios have had more has had more time to work alongside the WoW team and figure things out a bit more. Yeah, I'm interested in to see how an MMO like World of Warcraft come to Xbox and yeah, seeing how it's received. There's also the possibility that WoW will also come to Game Pass, I would imagine. I do wonder how that work with all the expansions. Maybe get all of them included with the subscription. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think I'd play it, but it's an interesting bit of news I thought I'd cover as yeah, it'd be quite big if another huge MMO came to Xbox consoles. Yeah, just to add, I did briefly play WoW World of Warcraft, although this was yeah, years ago, a long time ago. I think Wrath of the Lich King was the expansion at the time, and I didn't play it for very long. But yeah, no, it's changed a lot since then, including the addition of WoW Classic, which does sound cool. Kind of like old school RuneScape, I guess, but WoW's take on it. But yeah, yeah, sure. If this is announced, then I'll cover the news of WoW coming to consoles in the future, as it would be, I'd say, fairly big news. This next bit of news is actually quite interesting. I feel if you're a fan of the Hitman games like myself, hadn't heard of this until I was researching the news this week. But yeah, IO Interactive, who developed the Hitman games, I believe they developed even the older original ones. Yeah, the classic ones were developed by them. Is working on a Bond spy game, currently dubbed or codenamed Project 007. According to a report via Games Radar, the new Bond game from IO Interactive will be similar in concept to the modern James Bond movies. In an interview given to Edge magazine by IO CEO Hakan Abran, the in development game was brought up. It does look like the game is still quite far from release, possibly 3 years away, according to a report. But more details were shared in the article I read over at the Video Game Chronicle. The Edge magazine reports that, quote, the few other breadcrumbs we were able to pick up in the office suggest a tone closer to Daniel Craig rather than Roger Moore, and perhaps a more scripted experience than Hitman's freeform jaunts. Hakan Abran was also reported to have said that the game has been pitched as, quote, the ultimate spycraft fantasy, with additional speculation on VGC's part pointing to a more gadget-focused linear Bond game. This would be opposed to the more assassination-focused Hitman games, which are, yeah, fairly open, as they said, but usually contained within a specific mini sort of sandbox map, not like a massive open world usually. But yeah, Project 007 was originally announced via a CGI trailer back in November of 2020. But yeah, I hadn't heard of it until now, when I was researching this week's gaming news video. I'm surprised we haven't had a Bond game in a while, and I think using the Hitman games as a template for a Bond game would be quite effective. Bond and Agent 47 have some similarities, I guess, and I think the current Hitman engine would probably work pretty well in facilitating a 007 spy game, or maybe they'll use a newer version of their engine or something like that. Although, yeah, more specifics like engine and whether it's first or third person game are uncertain. Maybe like the Hitman games, you'll be able to swap perspectives on the fly. In any case, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for news on Project 007 going forward. But yeah, as a fan of the Hitman games, it's a game idea I'm very much interested in. And I feel we don't have enough spy games on the market these days. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing more in the future. Another stealth spy type game I'm looking forward to is the Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell remake. Can't wait to hear more news on that game. But it's also probably a little ways off from release as far as I can tell, like this new Bond game. Now onto another game that is seemingly still in development, and that game being the Last of Us multiplayer spin-off game, which is being developed still by Naughty Dog themselves. I know that The Last of Us Part 1, when it originally released, had a very popular multiplayer mode, which I did not play, but I still do hear people talk of fondly. I think this was a sort of an afterthought at the time, maybe sort of like Naughty Dog saying, let's just throw in a multiplayer mode and as an additional thing. Like I think a lot of devs were doing at the time, but yeah, ended up being quite successful. Obviously, the Last of Us Part 2 didn't have a multiplayer component. When doing a bit of research, it looks like a multiplayer mode was being developed, but the decision was made to branch it off into its own game, a spin-off, if you will. And that is where we are today, still waiting on this multiplayer-only Last of Us game. According to the IGN article I'm reading, this multiplayer game is still being worked on by Naughty Dog. In spite of recent reports, its development has stalled somewhat. However, no time frame for release date is known as of yet. Naughty Dog's Vinit Agarwal, as reported by Eurogamer originally, posted on X/Twitter about Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but also included a bit about still working on, quote, that game, a reference to the multiplayer Last of Us game, as apparently Agarwal gets hounded often for more information on the game. The full bit reference in the multiplayer spin-off reads, quote, and so this tweet can live on in peace. Yes, I'm still working on that game. So, if you're interested in the upcoming Last of Us multiplayer spin-off game, then at least you know it's still been worked on by the sounds of things. I played the original game, but not part 2 yet. And yeah, I'm interested to see how this turns out. Hopefully it's good, as yeah, I can tell a lot of people are interested in the game. And yeah, definitely a game I'm interested in seeing how it ends up. Next, onto a couple pieces of BioWare news. I haven't really covered BioWare that much in starting this channel, but I'm a fan of the games, mainly the Mass Effect games. So I'm probably one of the, the few people who liked Andromeda, maybe. But yeah, anyway, speaking of Mass Effect, number 4 is in development, and we haven't really heard much about it for a while. But on the recent N7 day, November 7th, the company BioWare released a teaser trailer for the upcoming game. We'll include the trailer here. To be honest, it doesn't show off much, as you might have expected, given that it's essentially just a teaser. You have a shadowy figure wearing an N7 jacket, face covered up by a helmet. They look at the camera, then walk away towards what looks like a landing pad with a spaceship landed, and pull out a gun during all this. So it doesn't really show too much. It's about 34 seconds long. So yeah, not a lot, but at least it's something. I believe BioWare said around the time it was announced in November 2020 that, quote, we are in early stages on the project and can't say any more just yet, but we're looking forward to sharing our vision for where we'll be going next. Yeah, it's been a few years since then, though I suspect the game isn't coming soon. Hopefully we'll get more details sometime next year, maybe a proper trailer with the gameplay trailer following soon after. But yeah, I do think the game, however, yeah, will be a few years away, as I said. Yet. But yeah, certainly looking forward to it as a fan of the Mass Effect games. And the second piece of BioWare news is about their upcoming game, upcoming game in their other big franchise. That game being the next Dragon Age game, Dreadwolf. I believe Dragon Age Dreadwolf is going to be coming sooner than the next Mass Effect, with a possible release sometime next year. Haven't played much of the Dragon Age games. I briefly played the first game, but never got into it for some reason. Been meaning to give it a go again. Or I may just play Dragon Age Inquisition. I've heard that's pretty good. I'm not sure, maybe I'll just start with the first one and play through them all someday. But yeah, no, I believe they're well-reviewed games. Anyway, it's looking like Dreadwolf may be getting shown off at the Game Awards this year, which would be cool if we get more than a teaser trailer, and alongside the GTA 6 potential trailer as well. That'd be interesting. But yeah, according to the Game Rant article I read, Dreadwolf has had some development issues, including multiple design changes and high staff turnover. It also mentions that the game could be coming in summer of next year, though this isn't definite at this time. The Game Awards, an annual gaming event at this point that's hosted by Jeff Keighley, has been used to show off other upcoming releases, including Dreadwolf in the past. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out for any showcase of the game or any development news at the Game Awards 2023. The awards take place on the 7th of December. But yeah, I'm a bit more interested in the Mass Effect games, but still quite interested in the Dragon Age games. I know BioWare has had a rough few years following the release of Anthem, which I played briefly earlier this year via Game Pass. I thought it was okay, not great. Yeah, I probably would have paid for it, or through Game Pass was fine, but yeah, I ended up just stopping playing it after a while. But yeah, hopefully BioWare can return to form for the next Mass Effect and Dragon Age games. Only time will tell, I guess. Now for some brief Fortnite news. I played a little with Fortnite, but that was, yeah, a few years back now. I liked it, but it's not really a game I'm interested in sinking many hours into. As everyone knows, though, it's one of the most popular games played today. Although that popularity has waned somewhat over the past year or so, it still holds a rather sizable player base. And following the recent Fortnite OG event, which is running from the 3rd of November until the 2nd of December, the game's reached its highest peak player count. According to third-party Fortnite game tracker Fortnite.gg, the game peaked at 6,172,463 players a few days ago. A number, yeah, which is pretty impressive. I'd say. During the OG event, the game's map has returned to the Chapter 1 island. I think that was the map it was when I last played it, so a while ago. Yeah, not myself to stay on the Fortnite front. Maybe I'll give another give another go somewhere today. I'm not really sure. The next bit of news is about Epic Game Store. So it's somewhat Fortnite related as Epic own that game. Well, I guess it's not that related as it's news regarding the store itself. But the Epic Game Store released almost 5 years ago. And over that time, it has gradually expanded, including by gaining exclusive games, something I'm not keen on Epic doing on PC. I'd rather games release on all storefronts at the same time instead of timed exclusivity. But at least, yeah, it's usually a timed exclusive and the games eventually come to Steam. But the actual news is that the Epic Game Store is still not profitable, even after almost 5 years of operation. This is according to Epic Games Store General Manager Steve Allison, who made mention of this during Epic's antitrust court battle with Google. He also said that the goal is still mainly growth at this point. Epic did also lay off around 830 employees, something I think I covered back at the end of September or early October. Looks like profits are being hit by the timed exclusivity deals and the free game giveaways, which is actually something that Steam/Valve doesn't do that is quite cool. Epic also recently increased the cost of V-Bucks as well as real money content packs for Fortnite. Maybe that will help out in the long run. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that their store isn't profitable after 5 years. I suppose it's still early days for the Epic Game Store, at least compared to like Steam. And they're going up against Valve with Steam, who are by far the biggest PC storefront at the moment, and who have also been around for more than 20 years. But yeah, competition is pretty fierce when it comes to PC gaming. And they're having a few issues. Now for some more negative news and more layoff news. Another week of that. Ubisoft is going to be laying off 124 employees. The job cuts will reportedly be affecting its Canadian game studios and its global IT team. Ubisoft is another game company, as I alluded to, in a long line of game companies this year that has been laying off many employees. In a statement regarding the layoffs, Ubisoft said that, quote, over the past few months, every team within Ubisoft has been exploring ways to streamline our operations and enhance our collective efficiency so that we are better positioned for success in the long term. In this context, today we announce that we are reorganizing our Canadian studios, general and administrative functions, and reducing headcount in Hybrid, our VFX studio based in Montreal, and in our global IT team, which impacts 124 positions overall. Going by what the VGC article said, Kotaku also reported earlier that Ubisoft was laying off employees and downsizing its Assassin's Creed and Far Cry game studio, Ubisoft Montreal, which has around 4,000 employees. 4,000 employees, that's quite a lot. It's probably one of the biggest game development studios in the world at this point, I reckon. Ubisoft also said back in January that it wanted to cut 200 million jobs. 200 million jobs, sorry. They wanted to cut 200 million in costs over the next 2 years via, quote, targeted restructuring, divesting some non-core assets, and usual natural attrition. Overall, Ubisoft has around 19,410 employees, which has dropped by over 1,000 compared to last September, where it had around 20,729 in total from the numbers I read. So yeah, some more rough news regarding layoffs. As always, I wish those affected by this the best. Hopefully they land on their feet and can find new positions in the games industry or elsewhere. Now for the last bit of news before we move into the game reception section is some the day before news. Cover this game's release and controversy briefly in last week's upcoming games section, and now the developers Fantastic have decided to delay the game. This was very much expected as the devs were pretty silent so close to release. The day before was originally going to launch into early access on November 10th, but has now been pushed back until December 7th. The game has been relisted on Steam as well. It was taken down by Steam from Steam for some reason, but is now relisted on there. In case you didn't know, the title kind of hints at this. It has do a lot of zombie game titles, but yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic open-world zombie survival MMO. I think I'd prefer if it was more like DayZ than an MMO, but maybe when it releases, my mind will be changed. I'll have to check out the game when it releases. Check reviews for it anyway, or videos. The game is also meant to be coming to consoles, although this might not be for a while, as it likely won't be released on an Xbox or PlayStation until it's till it fully releases and leaves early access. The game looks pretty cool, and I'm interested to see how it's received and how it performs when it launches. It does seem a rather ambitious game, however, and has been mired in controversy. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about the game. Hopefully, it ends up being good. I guess we'll just have to wait and see until at least December 7th or longer if it gets delayed again, maybe. If it ends up being really good, then I'll probably pick it up. Though I think I'd prefer to wait until the game's full release before I do so. I'll see. Maybe it'll be fine and well polished upon its early access release. I don't know, but yeah, I'm more than likely to cover the game in a month or so when that December 7th release rolls around. Now onto the game reception section of the video. First up, we have a game that was in early access but is now full release, and that game is My Time at Samrock. I covered this in a previous upcoming game section, as I usually do for the games I cover in my game reception section. My Time at Samrock is an RPG life sim sandbox farming game. It does have quite a lot of different gameplay elements, you might say. And yeah, it seems to be doing very well. In its early access phase, it was also doing very well. Let's get into the reviews now. On Metacritic, the game has a Metascore of 62 on the Nintendo Switch and a Metascore of 84 on PC and 81 on PS5. Seems like, did go back and have a look, it seems like the reason for the lower score on the Switch is because of performance issues with the game on Switch. That seemed to be the main reason for the reviewers giving lower scores, and also they seem to not like it as much. User score wise, it has a score of 8.4 based on 8 user ratings at the time of checking. So not doing so well on Switch, although it's faring better on PC and yeah, I guess PS5. On Steam, My Time at Samrock is doing very well, with a very positive rating and 89% of recent reviews being positive. This is based on around 1,700 recent reviews. So yeah, Samrock is doing very well. I'm glad, as I would like to try one of these cozy life sim sandbox games someday. Maybe Samrock will be the one I play first. The second game to cover is The Invincible. This is a third-person hard sci-fi adventure set in an atom punk world. It's a fairly narrative-focused game with some philosophical and psychological elements from what I could tell. And yeah, the game is doing pretty well. On Metacritic, the game has a Metascore of 70 on the PC and 73 on the PS5. User score-wise, it's doing considerably better though, with a score of 8.9. On Steam, The Invincible is also doing very well. It has a very positive rating with 92% of all reviews being positive. This was based on 267 reviews when I checked. So yeah, another game that's being well received, more so by gamers than critics, however. I think it looks pretty good. It's not a game I'm going to rush out and get, but maybe give it a go someday, so it's good to know it's doing well. Now for a game I'm very interested in, as I have always heard good things about the series, at least the older games, and the game in question is Stronghold Definitive Edition. This is basically another remaster / remake of the first Stronghold game, a classic PC RTS game. Previously, Stronghold HD and Stronghold Crusader HD were the most updated versions of these games, but yeah, the Definitive Edition now updates and overhauls at least the first game. And yeah, I'm thinking we will see a Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition at some point if this game does well commercially sales wise. Anyway, on to the review scores. Looks like we only have Steam user reviews for this game so far. On Steam, the game has a very positive rating, with 86% of all reviews being positive. This was based on 907 user reviews when I checked. Yeah, I'm glad this game is being well received, as yeah, it's part of another game franchise that I want to play. Not sure why I haven't played any of the Stronghold games yet, but yeah, plan to play them in the future. Next up, we have Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Raised His Name. This is the latest Yakuza / Like a Dragon game. I believe it's considered a spin-off title in the series. If you're a fan of these games, then you will likely be pleased to hear that it's doing really good, especially on Steam. First off, on Metacritic, the PC version has a Metascore of 77, the Xbox 78, and the PS5 79. User reviews weren't up at the time I checked. On Steam, the game is doing very incredibly well, as I alluded to. It has a very positive rating with 97% of all reviews being positive. This is going by 379 reviews. So yeah, 97% is, yeah, very impressive. Not played any of the Yakuza or Like a Dragon games, but from what I can tell, most of, if not all of them, have good review ratings. So this is another one to add to that, that list of great games. Now for an action RPG, Achilles Legends Untold. This is in some ways reminiscent of Titan Quest, as it has an ancient Greece or Greek mythological setting. It also is described as having Souls-like combat, which is a unique thing for an ARPG, I think. Game is doing okay, not amazingly well, but certainly not bad. On Metacritic, Legends Untold has a Metascore of 72 on PC and 70 on PS5. As for user score, it's scoring 6.5 when I checked. On Steam, the game is doing a bit better with a mostly positive rating and 75% of all reviews being positive. It's based on over 600 ratings, I think, when I checked, 630, something like that. So yeah, the game is doing okay, mid 70s on Steam. Yeah, I'd say certainly isn't bad. And finally, we have the latest mainline Call of Duty game, Modern Warfare 3 2023. I guess this is a bit more of a news piece than just a game reception piece, but it's sort of a mix of both, I guess. But yeah, this game has been game blasted as having possibly one of the worst Call of Duty campaigns ever. Apparently, it's around 4 hours long, with it being possible to finish it in less time if you're in a hurry, or around 5 or so hours if you stretch it out and take your time. Seen a bunch of YouTubers putting out harsh critiques of the game's single player campaign. From what I heard, it's a pretty poor showing on the single player side of things. IGN, who usually give these games decent scores seemingly, have given Modern Warfare 3 2023 4 out of 10 for its single player campaign, which is pretty rough. The reviewer for the game said in conclusion, quote, "Underbaked, rehashed, and cobbled together from multiplayer parts, Modern Warfare 3's single-player campaign is everything a Call of Duty story mode shouldn't be." Video Game Chronicle called it a, quote, "series low point," and Metro's Game Central said it was, quote, "the worst COD campaign ever." I will include links to the reviews in the description below for the ones I mentioned there. There were no user reviews when I checked. Those might be out around the time this video goes up, or maybe Saturday, but I'm expecting it to be a bloodbath. So not great showing for the game, at least in regard to its campaign. I suspect multiplayer will be the usual. Some people will enjoy it, some people will not enjoy it. Either way, it will likely be very popular. But if you were planning on getting this game for its story, then you might be in for a rough time. But yeah, as I said, the multiplayer is likely similar to Modern Warfare 2 2022. Thus, if you just play and enjoy the multiplayer, I wouldn't worry too much, but I could be wrong. I play Warzone and DMZ every now and then, but as for the regular Call of Duty, however, yeah, I don't play them anymore. I'll probably just give it a go when it more than likely comes to Game Pass next year. And yeah, just to add, before we move on, maybe they shouldn't release these games annually. It just doesn't seem that great of an idea at this point. As Modern Warfare 2 2022 only come out in 2022, so this is like a year later. So maybe they should go back to no longer doing annualized releases. But I very much doubt that is going to happen. Now into the upcoming games section for this week. First up in today's upcoming game section is a game I've covered before, and that is Turok 3 Shadows of Oblivion Remastered. This was revealed a little while ago and is being developed by Night Dive Studios, who have done quite a few remasters of older classic retro shooters, including, the first two Turok games were also remastered by Night Dive, and now this ends the original mainline trilogy, I believe. As with the other two games, you take on the Turok mantle, and in Turok 3 Shadows of Oblivion, you are facing off against Oblivion, who's a monstrous cosmic alien entity, I believe, and Oblivion's followers, the Flesh Eaters. There are two protagonists to pick from in Turok 3, either Danielle or Joseph Fireseed. And gameplay, as you may expect, is similar to the previous games and other retro shooters from the period of when it was originally released, the 90s and early 2000s. Not played many retro FPS games like this. I've been getting into some of the newer retro-inspired shooters the past year or so, starting with Dusk, which is a great game. But I would like to give the older Turok games a go someday, and as well as some other classic shooters to see if I enjoy them. Anyway, back to Turok 3. So the game, courtesy of Night Dive, has been remastered to not only make it more compatible with modern PCs and consoles, but also the graphics have been updated. As a remaster, it's not entirely overhauled. However, it does look higher fidelity than the original N64 game, which is, yeah, as you'd expect, kind of obvious. But yeah, it seems to stay true to the overall look and feel of the original. I do like the graphics of the remaster, but you may not if you're not into retros 90s/early 2000s graphics. As detailed in the description, Turok 3 is, quote, a faithful restoration of the classic first-person shooter originally released in 2000 for the Nintendo 64, upgraded through Night Dive Studios' proprietary KEX engine for play on modern gaming devices with up to a 4K resolution at 120 FPS. I've heard Turok 3 was the least well received of the original three games, with the other two being Turok Dinosaur Hunter and Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. Just to add, I've only played the more recent Turok games. Well, I did played one of the older ones, Turok Evolution. I guess both of them are old now, gaming wise. So Turok Evolution on the PS2 and Turok 2008 on the Xbox 360. I actually replayed both games earlier this year. Yeah, I like both of them, although it seems they were not really well received by the Turok fan base as a whole. I'm also hoping for a new Turok game, though it does seem that the series is in limbo at the moment, as far as I can tell. But if you want to play through the original Turok trilogy, you now can when this releases on modern systems and PC. Turok 3 Shadows of Oblivion is releasing on the 13th of November and is coming to the PC as well as current and last gen consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. The second game today is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. I had heard of the first Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl game, but I didn't realise the second game was coming until I researched this bit of the video. Like the first game, it's a 2D fighter slash beat 'em up, akin to the Super Smash Bros. Games and other fighting games, where you must brawl with your opponents to win. And the game features playable characters from the Nickelodeon universe, as the name alludes to, who you can pick to brawl with. Characters include SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Jimmy Neutron, Nigel Thornberry, among others, including ones from the Avatar Last Airbender series. Going by the description, there are more fighters to choose from compared to the first game. I don't usually think of these games as having a story really, but this game does have a new single-player campaign, as stated in the Steam description, so that's cool. As detailed quote, choose your favourite brawlers, master their unique movesets, and use all new powerful supers to land the finishing blow with friends or across a unique roguelike player campaign. That sounds interesting. Graphically, it has a similar cartoon-like 2D, 3D world and character aesthetic that most of these brawler-type games have, and yeah, it looks fine. The characters are seemingly true to the originals, at least as far as I can remember them. One thing to note, the game is being published by Game Mill Entertainment, the same publishers that were behind Rise of Kong, which is, yeah, somewhat concerning. However, they also published the first game, and that was well received, I guess. So hopefully the sequel is fine too. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is releasing on the 7th/14th of November and is coming to the PC as well as current and last gen consoles and the Switch. Just to note on the release date front, the game's website says the 7th as release, IGN says the 14th, and Steam says to be announced. But I did just check the game before I started recording. The game has actually released on Steam on the 7th. Maybe the actual day of release depends on the version/platform you purchase the game on. Next up, an interesting looking game called Karma Zoo. This game is a 2D action puzzle platformer which features up to 10-player random co-op. The devs describe it as a joyful and altruistic game. Alongside the co-op mode there is a versus mode. Both modes have you picking one of 50 characters, each having their own unique abilities, which sounds pretty good if they are all indeed unique. That's yeah, a decent amount of different characters. And it seems that most, though not all, are animals. It doesn't look like there's much of a story to the game. Instead, the game focuses on the cooperative gameplay and multiplayer. Gameplay does look quite interesting and, yeah, certainly unique. As the name suggests, there is a karma system in the game which rewards altruistic behaviour. I do wonder how it works. It sounds kind of cool, and characters and their abilities are tied to it in some way. As detailed quote, doing good earns karma. Stick together, use your character's strengths, and even sacrifice yourself, because helping one another is essential in the loop's deadly challenges. Everything you do every good thing you do, one way or another, earns you the sweet karma you'll use to unlock new characters and abilities for future loops. There's also local multiplayer, or multiplayer it says on there, I believe, which I think of as often requested in these these types of games, but not always included. So it's good to know this game supports it. Graphically, for me at least, is where this game shines. It goes for the 2D pixel aesthetic and graphical design, but with its own unique art style. It's in some ways it reminds me of Undertale, but higher fidelity and with more color. It does look very nice. I'm liking the contrast and the vibrant color palette Karmazu has. Yes, it's quite a nice looking game. Karmazu is releasing on the 14th of November and is coming to PC and the current gen consoles as well as the Nintendo Switch. I would say it's not the type of game I play, but I can see it being a very popular multiplayer game if it ends up being well received. And I suspect a lot of people will really like the art style. The game is also on deal currently, even before release, and will be on deal until the 28th of November. I feel the game is very well priced, and if you want a deal on it, you can get it on discount for the next couple of weeks, although this discount seems to be exclusive to Steam. Now onto another really nice looking game, The Last Faith. This game is described as a Metroidvania Souls-like, and it does remind me of Castlevania Symphony of the Night quite a bit actually. Like that game, it is a dark 2D side-scrolling action platformer. The game has you take on the role of Eric, spelled E-R-Y-K, who is woken with no recollection of his immediate past. The story sounds pretty cool and is partially detailed in the description, quote, "Step into the Last Faith's ravaged world as Eric, who awakens with no recollection of his immediate past. Soon he will discover he is in a race against time as his mind and conscience begins to deteriorate. His desire for salvation from his affliction sets him on a cursed mission that crosses paths with ancient religions and divinities." Gameplay-wise, it certainly looks and feels like a Metroidvania-style game. As described, there is merciless and precise combat, and you can make use of a, quote, "huge range of weapons, firearms, and custom executions." But yeah, by the looks, the game is pretty gory actually too. So if you like fast-paced, gory combat, you'll probably enjoy this game. All the combat animations and finishers / execution animations look pretty intense and detailed. And music and sound design fits nicely with the gameplay that I watched. Like other Souls-like games, there seems to be a decent amount of boss fights, which are usually the highlight of some of these games for some people. And the graphics and art design is where the game really stands out to me, though. The game is very dark, has pixel graphics, and goes for a gothic fantasy aesthetic that looks very impressive. If you're into this type of look, then you will likely be impressed by how the game looks. But yeah, I really like the Last Phase art direction. It's kind of like a 2D Bloodborne in some ways. Not usually into these type of Souls-like 2D games, although the Last Phase has me really wanting to give it a go just because it looks so good. Really need to try more of these games in the future. The Last Faith is releasing on the 15th of November. It's coming to PC as well as current and last gen consoles, along with the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, this is definitely a game I will be keeping an eye on. Next, another game that I really like the look of, Wizardum. It's spelled WIZ0ORDUM. This is another retro-inspired FPS game, and I'm really liking the look of this game. As with games like Dusk, this is another FPS game that is inspired by shooters from the 90s and early 2000s, though this is a little different as it not only has guns but also magic and melee combat added in, and it also is also set in a medieval fantasy world by the looks. Kind of reminds me of Hexen Beyond Heretic and Hexen 2, but much higher fidelity. Developers actually mention Hexen and Heretic as inspirations for Wizardum. As it's a retro-inspired FPS, you likely know the deal gameplay-wise. You fire guns, cast spells, and bash enemies in with a mace. Does seem fairly fast-paced, with part of the description detailing the game as, quote, speedrun friendly. But yeah, I do like the feel of the gameplay that I'm getting from the footage I've watched on the game. It seems very satisfying and fun to play. The game also seems to have a lot of weapon / combat variety, as the description states. There's a, quote, vast arsenal of magic weapons and items. The story and premise also seem quite interesting in Wizardom, with the description detailing, quote, the ancient seal of Terra Bruma has shattered, unleashing the forces of chaos once more. As one of the last mages of Wisdom's Sanctuary, you must embark on a quest to find the source of this corruption and push the chaos back before they consume the kingdom in a speedrun-friendly fantasy FPS, telling a page from the spellbooks of 90s fantasy FPS classics like Hexen and Heretic. So, if you're into retro-inspired games, Wisdom is very likely a game you should take a look at. As with The Last Faith, I really like the graphics and art design of Wisdom. It's a very nice looking retro style game. Really liking the use of colour and the art style and the animations and things. Both the light and dark environments look good, and I think overall it's a very impressive looking game, especially if you like this sort of art direction. It's another game I want to give a go just because of how it looks to me. Wisdom is releasing on the 15th of November and is coming solely to the PC at the moment. I certainly could see it come to consoles at a later date. There is also a demo for the game on Steam if you want to try that. And yeah, maybe limited runs games would do a physical release too, along with the Last Face. That would be cool, but just speculation at this point. Wisdom also, yeah, has a demo as I mentioned, so I'll probably be giving that a go at some point. But yeah, check it out. Now onto a new Persona game. I guess it's a spin-off game. The game is Persona 5 Tactica. Persona 5 Tactica is a tactical strategy RPG game and a spin-off of the very popular game Persona 5 and the Persona series, I guess. From what I can tell, it's one of a number of spin-offs of that game. Persona 5 Tactica does seem somewhat different to Persona 5. It's still an RPG, but it seems to have more of a tactical strategy focus compared to that game. Now, I have barely any knowledge when it comes to Persona games. I know they are, very popular and well-received games, though I've never played one myself, so I might get some things wrong when detailing these games. But yeah, anyway, back to Tactica. It seems similar in some ways to the other Persona games, and it's evidently set in the Persona universe, so there's likely story stuff I won't understand. These games do seem very story-heavy, and I think that's one of a number of reasons that they are very well reviewed. The story for Persona 5 Tactica is detailed in brief in the Steam description for the game. Quote, join the Phantom Thieves as they lead an uprising of the heart. Assemble an all-star team of heroes in a brand new story in this thrilling combat adventure set in Persona's iconic universe. Another thing I feel these games are known for is their sort of flamboyant combat and style. I believe this game features turn-based combat, as does Persona 5. Combat does, it does look quite cool in Tactica. Sometimes over the top, but yeah, in a good way, I feel. Graphically, the game has a sort of comic book-like style with the cutscenes going for an anime art style. Both complement each other, I feel, and yeah, it's certainly not a bad-looking game. I can see why people like the game's look and style. Yeah, I don't plan on giving any of the Persona games a go anytime soon, but I'm not averse to trying one of them someday. Checked, and Persona 3 Reloaded is on or coming to Game Pass, so maybe I'll try that out in the future. I believe that's like a remaster of I suppose Persona 3. But yes, Persona 5 Tactica is releasing on the 17th of November and is coming to the PC, current and last gen consoles, as well as the Nintendo Switch. And the final game in today's upcoming section, at least the final main game I'll be covering, is a pretty big one, I feel, and it is Super Mario RPG Remake. Remake of the original 996 SNES game, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. As the name suggests, this is a Mario RPG game. The original game was exceptionally well received, and I believe, it seems quite popular still today. I think fans of the original are very happy that this remake is coming out. Haven't played the original game, and to be honest, I haven't played many Mario games. Not sure why. I understand they're very much loved. I just haven't played many of them. However, one of my earliest gaming memories was of the 2D Mario game. It was one of the Super Mario Bros. Games. This wasn't when the games released. I wasn't born yet, but later in the 90s, and later in the sort of maybe late 90s. I can't quite remember. The game has you, take control of Mario and his companions as you set out on an adventure to defeat the Smithy Gang. As detailed in the description, you quote, assemble a group of unlikely heroes and embark on a whimsical quest to repair the wish-granting Star Road in Super Mario RPG for Nintendo Switch. Stop the sinister Smithy Gang and meet a cast of colourful characters, including the mysterious puppet Gino and the kind-hearted Mallow. Gameplay seems kind of similar to some other Square. This by Square I mean this was before Square were Square Enix RPGs at the time, which was released in the mid-90s with a party system featuring turn-based combat and adventuring. I suppose like some of the Final Fantasy games from its era, but with a unique marriage on the gameplay, like the inclusion of platforming among other conventional Mario elements. Graphics wise, as it's a remake, it's a complete overhaul on that front. The game goes from 2D to fully 3D isometric. It does look rather nice. I still think the original game holds up looks wise, but the remake is way more modern looking and higher fidelity compared to the original SNES game. As I said earlier, I expect Mario fans, especially ones of the original games, are very much looking forward to this game. Let's hope it's well received. I may or more than likely cover its reception in next week's or the following week's video. Super Mario RPG Remake is releasing on the 17th of November and is coming solely to the Nintendo Switch. Now, there were a couple additional releases I wanted to cover. These games are already out on other platforms. But first up, Hogwarts Legacy is getting a Nintendo Switch release. I think most people know what this game is. It's a very popular game based on a very popular sort of pop culture franchise, one that's been around for a while. Game is quite the demanding one, so I do wonder how it will run on the Nintendo Switch. If this ends up being received badly, then I may cover in the future. Hopefully it doesn't have terrible performance issues, as I expect some Harry Potter fans are looking forward to picking this up on the Switch. It is releasing for the Switch on the 14th of November. If you're a fan of Harry Potter and have a Switch, I'd recommend waiting for your reviews, just in case it's a bad port, likely performance-wise, if it is a bad port. Next, we have a PC game, Teardown, coming to console. Teardown is a sandbox sort of puzzle game with physics-based gameplay and a world made of voxels. The game looks really good. I do have it on Steam, but haven't played it yet. Haven't played it yet. Teardown is very well reviewed on Steam, with 96% of almost 75,000 reviews being positive. So yeah, it's a great game. Definitely one I can recommend to console players that are considering picking it up. I still check reviews for the game in case you're not sure. We'll wait to see how it reviews on console when it releases. And it releases for the Xbox Series consoles as well as the PS5 on the 15th of November. So quite a few upcoming games covered today. My picks to check back in on are definitely The Last Faith and Wizardom. Both look great to at least to check back in on. Maybe buy the games. And I'll likely cover some of the games in next week or the following week's games reception section. If you're interested in any of the games I covered in today's upcoming game section, let me know in the comments if you like. Now on to the spotlight for today. This is for a YouTube channel, actually. That channel being Second Wind. For some context, a story broke as I was recording that the Escapist video team has resigned following the firing of Nick Calandra. This includes Yahtzee Crucial, who I'm a big fan of. I think I'll cover this story more next week as more info comes out. So, following all this happening, the team that have left the Escapist, including Yahtzee, have started their own YouTube channel called Second Wind. I didn't really watch much of Escapist stuff on YouTube. I watch stuff of their channel every now and then, Yahtzee stuff and things. But yeah, I've been a general fan of Yahtzee himself for a number of years. I still listen to his old videos that he used to do with his friend Gabe. But yeah, I'm going to be watching the new content on Second Wind. And go check the Second Wind channel out. I'll link a video of a live stream that Yahtzee and Nick Calandra recorded that is on the channel, as well as I'll link the channel, but you can go find it yourself if you want. In the video, they discuss some stuff regarding the situation and their plans going forward. If you're interested, definitely check them and their channel out. I wish them all the best going forward. I'm looking forward to seeing how the new channel goes and what content they put out. So that's all the game coverage from me today. As always, feedback is appreciated, so go ahead and like and leave a comment. If you enjoy my videos and commentary, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back again soon.